Welcome back, Egyptology lovers. Today we're going to talk about the alphabet. This is a standard alphabet created by Egyptologists. This is not the actual alphabet of ancient Egypt. It's just a convention that we use. Now, hieroglyphs used to be known as phonograms. Now, they come in many ways as logograms and determinatives, but these are phonograms today. Sound writing represent the sounds of those words, just as the letters of the English language. It's the same concept. Now, the sounds are consonants. So all these are actually considered consonants and no vowels indicated. It wasn't until the Coptic period, in the last stage of the language, that consonants were added between words to make sense of them, much like the Greek, and behaves much like the Arabic of today. Now, what we have here is 25 consonants. These were not actual words or letters independent by themselves, but were used with the words that we mostly see. So most of these characters were mostly used or seen in many of the ancient Egyptian words. So we're going to go through them and discuss what they are and how they sound. Now, the language has been dead for a long time. Nobody really knows what they really sound like, but we can approximate based on the last language and just formulate a general idea with the Coptic. Now, you'll also see here that these are called unilateral signs as well, single word. So each hieroglyph represents a single letter, as you can see. Some words are bilateral, where one symbol can represent two letters, such as sa or ra or ma, and trilateral as well with three letters, but these ones only represent single, unilateral. So what we're going to do is go through each one of them. These are consonants, all 25 of them, the ones that are mostly seen throughout ancient Egyptian words. So let's get close here and see what these are all about. So looking at what we have over here, just kind of zooming in a little bit, we'll start on the very left column over here. On this very left column, we have a vulture. This vulture represents the letter A. This is a transliteration. Everything you see in red is a transliteration. So it's the way we would sound it out in our writing. There are many forms, but this is the standard that we have for the Western standard. Now, over here, or the imperial standard. So here is the letter A. This is what we would use for transliteration. And this would be sort of an aleph or an ah sound. Next comes the I or the E. Now, what you have here is a single reed. This used to be a reed on the river Nile, and this would represent the E sound. Followed after that, you have a double reed. So the same as the first, but double. And there's some or that I've added in purple. Now, sometimes due to space or other conventions, the same unilateral word was created as another type of hieroglyph with the same sound. So this is a double-sided stroke, and that was also used, a dual stroke in order to represent the letter E, sometimes for just fitting space in cartouches or even on inscriptions, just to make sure that it creates a little bit more space. And then you have an arm. This arm is much like the Arabic ayin. It's a half tone, so it's not a full vowel, but a half vowel. Most of these here are half vowels. Going forward, we have the quail or chick, and this is the letter U, represented in a W, so the U sound. Now you also have here a curl of rope. This curl of rope was also replaced the U, so you may see this sometimes, just much like the double reed in the strokes, the U as well. Going forward to the letter B, this is a foot, and that's just pretty much the B sound, that's what it sounds like, B. And then what we have next is a stool. The stool will represent the letter P, P. After that, we have the horned viper. The viper would represent the letter F, F. So that's the first column. Let's move over to the next. Over here now, we have the letter M. M, we have the owl, which is mostly used for the letter M. Or we have another hieroglyph that many Egyptologists still dispute or debate. Nobody really knows. There are some ideas and theories, but this is still left into a mystery. We don't really know what this letter M represents, which is also interchangeable. The next is the letter N. What you have here, the letter N, is water. So there's a wave of water, the letter N. Or You can also use the same time the red crown, which is the crown of Lower Egypt. And this is also considered the letter N. Moving on, we have the letter R, and R is the letter of as a mouth symbol. So it represents an open mouth. R, R. After that, we move into the H letters. So there are 4 of them. The H, this is an enclosure. So it could be a house enclosure if you look at it from the aerial view. And that's the H, H. After that, you have a rope. And this is basically just a rope. And also the letter H, but pronounced differently. And then after that, you have another symbol that Egyptologists dispute, but the consensus is that it's a placenta. So when an animal or a person is born, there is usually a placenta that comes with the born infant or child or mammal, pretty much. Moving on to the final letter H, which is also pronounced differently than the others. What you have here is a belly and an udder. So belly and udder. And that's also pronounced with the letter H. Next, we move to the letter S. This here is a bolt of cloth. So what you have is a bolt of cloth. So it's as if you have a cloth and it's folded on your arm. A bolt of cloth. S. After that, you have a door bolt. This is a door bolt, so something you would slide over to lock a door. And this was pronounced as also letter S. It was sometimes interchanged between the two as the periods of the language moved on through as the culture moved forward. Much of the letters started becoming interchangeable. So sometimes you may see the Z replaced with the S. So it's interchangeable sometimes. The next one is the basket. It's a basket, and you see here a little attachment like a holder for it. And this is the letter K or Q. We don't say Q, we say K. So a hard K. And this would be denoted with the transliteration with the letter K and a dot underneath. The next K is a rolling hill. So a hill, if you're standing on top, you're rolling down. And this is now the softer K, the K. After that, we move to the letter G. In the letter G, you have a jar stand. So this would be a stand for a jar. And a substitute was also, not very often, but rarely, a bag. So it's just a bag with a handle, and this is the G. Now we move to the final 5, which is a pool. Now, you would also have to look at this as an aerial view, the pool from the top and the water in the pool. So these are waves of water in the pool. Sometimes there were no waves, it was just done as a solid rectangle, but this is the sh sound, and that's the transliteration with an S and a little U shape on top, sh. Then we move to the bread loaf. The bread loaf is usually shaped like this. Sometimes they shape them in this way, or sometimes they shape them in that way. You would know that as well. It's a little bread loaf. But this one was the letter T, the most common of the letters, and it also would be used to feminize a word, or used for the feminine, for goddess. Then we move on to what we have here is a hobble. This hobble here was the letter ch, or the sound ch. And this T has an underlined line, so you know the difference between the T and the ch. Finally, we move on to the last 2, the D. This is a hand, and this would be pronounced as the letter D. Now, the D and the T also started becoming interchangeable. The 2 sounds would be interchanged. Sometimes the D became the T. So it really depends on the period and how things were written. Finally, you have a cobra. The cobra is the sound for J, J, J sound, and it's denoted with a D and a line underneath. So these are the standard hieroglyphs, the 25 consonants that I used for ancient Egypt. Now, they never used this alphabet, and we simply formulated it based on the commonality of these particular unilateral signs in so many different words of ancient Egyptian language. Now, if you notice there's a lion up there, that line is not there for any particular, it's for a reason. Sometimes during the Ptolemaic time, when the Greeks started coming into Egypt, certain words or sounds Greeks didn't have, so they would incorporate them or create new words or use existing words and say, well, this functions for the Greek sound. The lion was the letter L, L, and L was interchangeable with R. So the R and the L weren't that far off in the way they sounded. R, L. So even if the R isn't so strong like r, but more like r, l, it was interchangeable. Ptolemies used the letter L. Cleopatra used the letter L in the lion. But very few hieroglyphics for royal names used the letter L in ancient Egyptian or the ancient pharaohs. The last thing I'm going to show you is don't have it here, but I'm going to draw it. And I'm going to put it next to the vowels, right over here by the vulture. Also during the Ptolemy time, for the L, they used the O. Now this wasn't very common as well. It needed a very strong O sound. And this was right here like that. Like that, like this. And a bag and rope. This was the letter O. And Ptolemy and Cleopatra, not Cleopatra more, but more Ptolemy, used this. This would be the letter O. So that's what we would have for that sound. So that's the unilateral signs for hieroglyphics for ancient Egypt. This is what I would have for you as well on my bookmark that I made for everybody if you want to buy it or you win it in a giveaway. The standard alphabet written in this order. So you would always see it written from this down. These characters would follow this order for the standard alphabet that we use in order to translate hieroglyphics or to explain the 25 unilateral consonants. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. If this helped you understand a little bit more the beginning of reading hieroglyphics, that's great. We'll try to move on to the next video of bilateral signs, so sounds that have two letters, but we'll see if we get to that. But for now, thank you for watching. Please like and follow my page if you enjoyed, or go to YouTube and like and subscribe over there with the same name. Thank you very much and have a great day.